Well, a while ago, I had a shed antler buyer drop by the house here, and it was a miserable, snowy day. And he bought a pile of my shed's antlers. And this is one here, and what he would do is he would just look to make sure it was a shed. He would turn it all over and look at it really, really good. And then he'd narrate on the video how much he paid for it and the date he bought it. And this was something to do with customs because he was from the US. And he was buying these antlers with Canadian dollars, but our dollar's only worth 69 cents because so he would get 30% on his money. Now he bought this little shed antler, moose shed antler that I used to keep my drills on. And he bought anything that I could prove it was a shed. He would look and he called it the button. If it had a button on it, he would buy it. And I was unbelievably impressed by this young man. What a professional young fella, very smart, always called me sir, very polite, and he bought a pile of my sheds. I mean, everything. And I'd say, well, I get usually this much for a knife at a sale and stuff. Oh, he says, that's too cheap. And he bought a pile of stuff for me. Now, when we brought the gas in here and set our house up, we were burning wood and everything. It cost a lot of money, and he paid me a lot of money. And I'm sick and tired of being in debt, so I was really happy. He would look at it as long as he could see the button. So he would take this out, and you could see. He would film it, and look at you can still see the button, and he'd say, yeah, that's a shed. I can buy this, because you can't buy antlers. They have to be sheds. Now, it's perfectly legal to sell sheds. Anybody can do it. I make a lot of things with sheds, but I couldn't believe the price he was giving me for a lot of this stuff. And he'd say, look, if it's got a burr on it, I can buy this. And he loved the meat cleaver. Well, I don't hunt anymore. I used to cut a lot of my meat. So I didn't mind parting with this because every deal he offered me was very, very sweet. And this is one of the first shed antler tools I made. I didn't part with this one because of the sentimental value. But he looked at the button, he said, this, and I'll give you this much for it. And I said, no, I'll give you this much for it. I said, no, it's got too much sentimental value. But anything like this that had a button on it, he would offer me prices, you guys, that was just, I couldn't believe it. And he said, these things sell, he said, because a lot of people can't even find a shed antler, let alone make something with it. Now, a lot of this video, you can see the different things I've done with shed antlers because I love antlers. I mean, they're beautiful. And I've loved them my whole life. Even when we picked them on the farm, we used to pick the shed antlers up so they wouldn't go through the implement tires. But I would always make something with them, and I enjoyed them. But now at this point in my life, if he wants to pay me that kind of money, fine, they're gone. But I'll tell you, what an amazing young man. And he said he'll take this. Now, remember, he's buying this on 70-cent dollar. So he's making 30%, even he gets the same value. Now, he would video it, and he would put, I paid this much for it. Now, I drew the line on some of my shed antlers simply because I have the animal, I have the sheds from it, so I wouldn't part with them because I still have the actual animal that those shed antlers belong to. So I didn't sell some of them, but I sold a real lot of them. I'm glad to be out of debt. It's nice. But one thing that amazed me was look at how this set of shed antlers. They're typical. Now, they're not a big set of antlers, but he paid me a lot of dollars for this. I couldn't actually believe it that he would pay me that much for it. And he said, these are the ones that sell. He says, these typical sheds, especially this size. And again, it wasn't that big a shed, but, a big set. But he paid me an amazing amount of money for a lot of the antlers that you have seen in these videos in the past. Some of the dollars he paid me were ridiculous in my price. But what do you do? Now, he couldn't buy, this is my barbecue set. Now, I couldn't sell him those, but he wanted to buy my dining room set. And I wouldn't part with them because we still use them. But they also have shed antlers on them. Even my stainless steel and my silverware all have antlers on them because I do love antlers. They just, look at them, they're just beautiful. And so I've done a lot of things in my life with antlers, and you can see, if you look at this video, it'll give you ideas what you can do with them. Now, I couldn't sell them my wiener sticks, but by putting a mule deer fork on this wiener stick, you can drive that fork into the ground, set the wiener at any level over the fire, and I mean, it's amazing, okay? And it's very easy to do. You just drill it out and epoxy the thing in there. But anyway, a lot of these, I didn't want to part with them because I use them pretty much all the time. But they are nice. He wanted to buy all of them. Anything that had a button on it, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. It was just amazing. But even our bush pie maker, I have antlers on. Now, I did sell them my copperware set because I don't use much of it. And you could prove that they were shed antlers. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you in the next video.